Welcome back, Truth Seeker. They just wrapped up the Charlie Kirk Memorial. It began with his pastor who invoked the Civil War, painting an analogy to Abraham Lincoln talking to a widow, somebody who was lost in the war. If you listen to it, there were numerous references to bricks and building brick by brick. It's quite clear that Turning Point USA is a Masonic foundation. Of course, Donald Trump is the apprentice, first degree of Freemasonry. And when Trump came out, he referred to Charlie Kirk as the master builder, which is Masonic terminology. And remember, the master builder number is 22, and it goes with Kirk's killer being 22-year-old Tyler when the Tyler guards the Masonic Lodge. And not to mention that Charlie was killed on the 253rd day of the year, the 22nd triangular number. But yeah, this was no doubt a ritual. And if you missed the video I did very early today about why it's in this stadium, of course, 30 points out of the Phoenix area, and Charlie Kirk's wife's from Scottsdale. Christian Kirk making his debut in the NFL today for this year with his new team, Houston, out in Texas. By the way, are Charlie Kirk's Bears still up with 31 points right now? We like the Bears to upset the Cowboys today to keep Dak on. Yeah, they are. 31-year-old Charlie Kirk's favorite team, the Bears, are up with 31 over Dallas, where JFK was assassinated in 63. And like I told you, day one, the shooting came 63 days from the Superior General's birthday, and immediately everybody was talking about famous assassinations, including JFK. Charlie Sheen was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and they went from talking about Platoon to, oh my God, Charlie Kirk's been assassinated, and spent the next hour of the show talking about JFK. Yeah, today's a memorial in the football stadium, the Arizona Cardinals Stadium. Yeah, we thought Dak Prescott would stay on 77 career wins because Green Bay equals 77, and that's who he plays next. Micah Allen Parsons also equals 77, who went from the Cowboys to Green Bay. And again, if you're like, what are you talking about? Their names equal this. Welcome to the channel. I'm talking about Gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. You learn this, you start to understand things like why Turning Point USA equals 88, like the Republican Party, like the name of the church that was a member of Turning Point. The first speaker at his church equals 88, and so does Trump. And of course, Charlie Kirk supposedly died 88 days after Trump's birthday. If you were listening carefully, Trump said Jesus was Charlie's Lord and Savior. That's what he said. Charlie's Lord and Savior. Jesus was Charlie's Lord. He didn't say it was also my Lord and Savior, and obviously not. I like when you catch Trump in the honest moments. I don't think it was Charlie's either. Again, he had lightning bolts on his tent, the symbol of Satan. But remember, Trump does run on MAGA, the highest degree of the Church of Satan. This world of rigged sports, rigged elections, rigged politics, full of ritual sacrifice. We told you the day that Trump's ex-wife fell down the stairs, exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit nation year. The same day he came out and said he'd run in the 60th election. That was a major sacrifice, showing that he was going to be installed, and we were already on it a year before that happened. Of course, Charlie Kirk gets shot 60 weeks after Trump supposedly got shot. Here we are in the year of Super Bowl 60. If you missed last night's video, I will recap some things, but I did more research because after I heard the pastor begin by talking about the Civil War, remember I said this building they were in, construction began on State Farm Stadium on April 12th, 2003, which was the anniversary of the end of the American Civil War. And, you know, Charlie Kirk and all this fight stuff, they want a religious war here. And remember, Charlie means church, and construction on this building did begin on the 142nd anniversary of the start of the American Civil War. And of course, Christians 142. And it's also 101, like today leaves 101 days left in the year. And to get to State Farm Stadium, you take Route 101, and it goes with Orem, Utah equaling 101, and Assassin equaling 101, and all the ritualism here to this. But yeah, I started to really look into Civil War history with Arizona, and in no time, my eyes were lighting up. And again, even though I've been exposing this for 12 years, it still blows my mind at how good the cabal is at putting these rituals together. And again, you know, I mean, is it not just in your face, you guys? Charlie Kirk's teams up with 31 on the nationally televised game as the memorial ends. What did the Cubs do today? Let me check on his Cubbies. Anthony Rizzo retired the day of the shooting. Okay, good. The Reds won. I'm glad the Reds. Oh, the Reds got their 44th win too. I had the Reds to win today. I hadn't checked the box scores. I thought the Reds would stay on 34 home losses before they play the Pirates, and Pirates like that number. Charlie Kirk died 34 days before his birthday in a shooting. The Reds got the 44th win. The Reds are JD Vance's team. Hmm. Oh, the Cubs stayed on 88 wins. Okay. Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA. The Republican Party. Remember, uh, Kirk at 88 days after Trump's birthday. If you're new here, I've been educating about Trump and 88 rituals nonstop since 2015, like literally over a decade of this now, since the day he announced he was running for president, has been 88 rituals. But yeah, this pastor, starting out by talking about the Civil War, I just thought, good God. Let's go through it. The Charlie Kirk Foundation must have made a bazillion dollars today during the live stream from what I can count in super chats. Of course, YouTube takes over 50% of it, so they also made a good fortune. But anyway, there were over 500,000 people watching. Notice the pastor, Ron McCoy, the real McCoy. 65, right? That's when the American Civil War ended, 1865, right? 1865. And it made me look at I said, you know what? How did Arizona factor into the American Civil War? And there was this significant battle in Arizona. So the little red blurb here is Arizona had a brief Confederate presence during the American Civil War as Southern sympathizers and Texan forces established Confederate Arizona Territory in 1861 with the goal of securing access to the Pacific coast. Union forces from California, known as the California Column, pushed the Confederates out by 1862, leading to the westernmost battle of the war, the Battle of Picacho Pass. The region also saw ongoing conflicts between the U.S. Army and Native American Apache tribes. Let me double check something real quick with my audio before we go any further. Yeah, shoot, my bad. Let me give you guys better audio. I just swapped around my mics for a second. Are we good? There we go. Okay, that should sound better. My bad. But this Battle of Picacho Pass is also known as the Battle of Picacho Peak, and it turns out both of these things are pretty interesting. Notice it occurred 3 years to the day of Lincoln's death, April 15th. That's the day Lincoln died in 1865. This battle happened 3 years to the day. The memorial is in an NFL stadium for NFL Week 3. It makes me wonder what could happen 3 years from now, Trump's last year in his second term. But yes, it says the Battle of Picacho Pass was an engagement of the American Civil War on April 15th, 1862. The action occurred around Picacho Peak, 50 miles northwest of Tucson, Arizona, where University of Arizona is. Fought between a Union cavalry patrol from California. And keep in mind that the guy who referenced the Civil War, his church is called Cavalry. So we got the guy from the Cavalry Church talking Civil War. Between a Union cavalry patrol from California and a party of Confederate pickets from Tucson, and marks the westernmost battle of the American Civil War involving fatalities, though a skirmish known as the Battle of Stanwyck Station was 40 miles further west and 80 miles from the California border of the direction of Fort Yuma. A reminder, they're going to put up the only Confederate statue that was taken down after the George Floyd riots. They're going to put it back up next month in Washington, D.C. And I'm going to die if they put it up October 14th because that's George Floyd's birthday, and it's also Charlie Kirk's birthday, and it's also the anniversary of the Jesuit Superior General, the latest one, Arturo Sosa, being installed, a.k.a. the Black Pope. Now we're in the time of the first American Pope, who not that long ago was a cardinal. Remember, America was largely founded to escape rule over by the church across the Atlantic. And now Charlie Kirk and his movement and the Christian nationalists, who are Christian in name only,
Again, just listen to the record, Charlie Kirk. Jesus was about feeding the poor. Charlie Kirk was like, how dare you feed the poor? You know what I mean? Again, that's the Republicans can claim Jesus and Christianity all they want, but their policies are not very Christian. I'm sorry. Being pro-life, it wasn't anything in the Bible. A lot of you guys think that's like the one thing to being a Christian. I just can't stand abortion, and I can't stand abortion either. I wish we would stop fighting over pro-life and pro-choice and figure out how to make a country where people don't need abortions. It is horrific. But again, that's not part of the Bible, and most Republican policies are totally opposite of the Bible. Was Jesus about starting wars and discriminating based on skin color? And would Jesus be like, no, that border will be shut down, send those brown people packing, and who cares where their children? No, I mean, none of this would happen. And by the way, Republicans, the reason there's so many immigrants coming across the border is because of the policies of your party 33 years ago when they passed NAFTA in 1992, and that's a fact. And by the way, both parties work together, so I'm not trying to be partisan. I'm just saying, Republicans are all mad about all the illegals coming in, but it was also your party that passed NAFTA, and it was understood at the time that if NAFTA passed, it was going to destroy all Mexican farm workers, okay? What did you expect them to do? The only jobs left were north of the border. It was a fight between a Union cavalry patrol from California and a party of Confederate pickets from Tucson. This is the fight in Arizona 3 years to the day of Lincoln's assassination. And, Obama, from the land of Lincoln, President Obama, 142, this building on the 142nd anniversary, if something happens to that guy, number 44, that could really escalate things here. From Tucson, and marks the westernmost battle of the American Civil War involving fatalities, though a skirmish known as the Battle of Stanwyck Station was 40 miles further west and 80 miles from the California border in the direction of Fort Yuma. Sorry, I read that 2 times. I haven't slept much. Anyway, do you see how the Battle of Picacho Pass equals 106? What did I talk about in the middle of the night when I was talking about this ritual today in the stadium during the 106th season in State Farm Stadium, which is from Illinois, where Charlie Kirk's from, where they're going to build the new Bears Stadium pretty soon. And remember, Joseph Smith also was shot and killed in Illinois, the Mormon founder, in light of this Illinois-Utah thing with Charlie Kirk. But yeah, let me scroll down here a little bit further. State Farm was founded in Illinois in 1922. 22 is the master builder number. Again, Trump, the Mason, came out and called Charlie Kirk the master builder. Again, look at when Trump and Kirk did their little handshake on stage in Milwaukee. They did the Masonic handshake, the same one Trump just did with Putin, because all the world's a stage, and we know who really runs the stage, these secret societies that love to play everybody for fools. And you see how it is playing people for fools. I mean, it's lucrative. Look at all the money that was made off this psychological operation today. If you saw all the super chats flowing in on Charlie Kirk's stream, I mean, millions of dollars just now flowed in from this powerful psychological operation. And again, they're planting seeds of division is what they're really doing. There might have been some nice lofty words, but you know what they're really trying to do? They're trying to make people take sides. That's why they started by talking about a civil war. There's a lot of people that don't want to go back to centuries ago. What the founders of this country were trying to escape is where Turning Point USA wants to take us back to. We don't need religion. Women, just go get pregnant. Stay in the kitchen. We need more church. We need more belief. The word with lie in the middle. We're turning back to centuries past. Anyway, look at it, you guys. It's 106 days after State Farm's establishment. The killer is Tyler. Again, the Tyler guards the Masonic Lodge. Robinson, 106. But anyway, now I start to look, and I'm like, okay, I got to look into Civil War history in Arizona, and the most significant event just happens to equal 106. And if you're going, well, what about how they say it's also called the Battle of Picacho Peak? Well, that is a good question, Mr. Observant. And notice this, Battle of Picacho Peak, 101, like the Republican Party. Like today leaves 101 days left in the year. Like State Farm Stadium's off Route 101. That's how you get there. And I'm pretty sure I brought up the 101 piece last night because Orem, Utah equals 101, like assassin, like church, when Kirk means church. And they want to take everybody back to the church. And here I've been educating about this all this time, about how who gave us the calendar and the language was the church, and how they really run this nation. And as time goes on, things become more and more obvious and are being revealed more and more. And now there's this major operation to hook everybody psychologically on this story, especially the nation's youth, that, yeah, maybe we just need to go back to religion and give up education and just get behind the Republican Party, which has promised us the surveillance state and more wars with brown people, especially Muslims, hey, we can have a totally more successful crusade that can last 10 times longer than the last one we had that was just, 20-some years when we were told originally by the Republican Party that was in power it would last a few weeks. We'll be greeted as liberators. We'll be in and out with a bouquet of flowers. 20-some years later, we finally exit on the Jesuit order's birthday. That's the military order of the Catholic Church, which, again, this whole ritual is synced with. But yeah, okay, let's keep moving through the Battle of Pikachu Peak. So from the anniversary of it happening to the shooting was 148 days. And again, what was called the Confederate branch there in Arizona was called the Confederate Arizona Territory. 148. Isn't that interesting? 148 days later, the shooting happens. And of course, Donald J. Trump equals 148, like how he signs his name on his books, or I should say writes it on the cover. His best-selling book, The Art of the Deal, 148. Fraternals 148, because again, we're talking about a bunch of Masons. Again, I didn't even listen to the whole thing, but I heard quite a bit of it, and so many references to bricks and brick by brick. And I just, again, when Trump came out and called him the master builder, I just thought, good God, you guys. Again, Kirk was killed on the 253rd day of the year, which is the 22nd triangular number. 22 is the master builder number. Kirk equals 22, like Utah going with the 22-year-old killer. Again, if you're new here, these are the 4 base ciphers of the language. It's simple. It's the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26. It's the reverse alphabetic order, and it's both orders with numerology applied. Okay. So, yeah, September 10th, 253rd day of the year. Isn't it interesting how American Civil War equals 253? And this has been a big theme all over social media, just all these references to, oh, this could be the beginning of a new American Civil War. Again, the memorial had to start with this today, with a pastor talking about it. Who did Lincoln blame the American Civil War on? He said it was the Catholic Church. Now, granted, today's pastor wasn't Catholic, but I would argue that Protestants might as well just be Catholics. I think the Protestant Reformation was a psychological operation to just further spread the brand of Christianity, and then people would believe the same bullshit, but go, well, at least I'm not Catholic, and I don't have to go in the confessional anymore. I don't have to worry about purgatory. Okay, the rest of it's all the same. And again, I grew up Lutheran, for example, and what's all over the Lutheran church? IHS, which is the Jesuit acronym for Jesus Hominum Salvator. And everybody's taking communion anyway. That's a Catholic thing. I couldn't stand it as a kid. Get on your knees, eat the bread, the body of Christ shed for you. Drink the grape juice, the blood of Christ shed for you. I was like, this is so weird. Eating bodies and drinking blood? Are we zombies? The Night of the Living Dead scared me as a child, too. My parents took me that when I was probably like 4 years old. Oh, my God. Anyway, American Civil War, 253rd day of the year. Now all this. Do you see how it leaves 112 days left in the year, too? We talked about this. Charlie Kirk's wife's maiden name's 112 and how perfectly coordinated it was with her. And Phoenix and Glendale was on the 112th Meridian West, and the Jesuits operate in 112 countries, and on and on and on. If you throw a "the" in front of it, the American Civil War is also 112. I mean, it just couldn't be any more perfect, could it? Without the, with the. I mean, you got it both ways. And who did Lincoln blame the American Civil War on? That's right, the Jesuits who operate in 112 countries. For the person out there going, how do I know they operate in 112 countries? Well, for one, you got a web searching engine in front of you, and you could probably just type in a question. How many countries do the Jesuits operate in? And as you'll see when it says 112, Catholicism equals 112. Mathematics is 112. 1 plus 1 is 2. Pretty interesting encode in the language as they do these mathematical rituals every single day. And you can verify from 1,000 other sources. Here's the Jesuits' official website. They operate in 112 countries. With regards to the Mormons, remember, they just quietly set up a temple right next to the Vatican. So, like I said, I mean, who's really running all these religions at the end of the day? I'd say all roads lead to Rome. Now, from April 15th to today, it would be 159 days later or a span of 160 days. And, of course, Donald Trump equals 159, like Scottish Rite, which has the highest degree of 33, going with the 33-hour manhunt. By the way, did you see the one NFL team that paid tribute to Charlie Kirk today? It was only one. It was Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland, like Trump's the new Grover Cleveland split-term president who had his convention there in 2016 in the real in the Cavs stadium after LeBron won on the real King James's birthday when King James died at 58 and then Trump won the 58th election. And then this time around, the election's on the anniversary of the Jesuits trying to kill King James. Remember the 5th of November. You see how Orem, Utah equals 115 as well? Like the election date, like assassin is also 115. So is killing. Killing and Orem, Utah actually have a lot in common. 38, 115, 43. Remember when they asked Trump afterwards, like how he was doing? He's like, I'm doing great. They're building my ballroom. I'll be dancing around and grabbing new girls by the pussy here in a few weeks. Oh, yeah, Charlie. I was supposed to be sad about that. We'll be having something different than the body of Christ tonight. We'll be having the body of 6 foot, whatever he is, Charlie. Anyway, it's a span of 160 days, too. Like the Civil War ended 160 years ago. And how about 11 days after the shooting? Isn't that how many Confederate states there were? 11? Weren't there 11? Let's see. Did the Bears win it with 31 for Charlie? Oh, man, it's predictable. It's so predictable. And again, hey, look at this, you guys. Next week, Dak goes into Green Bay with 77 wins. I still remember when Aaron Rodgers faked his injury with the Packers back in the day on the day, leaving 77 days left in the air. It wasn't as bad as when he faked it with the Jets on 9/11. Only the dopes eat it up. And that's the thing, you guys. The dopes just eat up all this shit, right? The Charlie Kirk thing doesn't make any sense. Not one bit of it. Not one bit of it makes any sense. Candace Owens coming out with 200 and some thousand people watching her, seeming like she's under MK Ultra or something like, I saw the video from behind, and there wasn't even any blood. What the hell? What the hell are you trying to tell your audience right now? Just getting off on how you're raking in $1 million right now because you got all the sheep under your thumb. Because you've been, I just hate how the sheep just gravitate to what's marketed to them. It drives me insane. But for anyone going, how do I know Dak Prescott's on 77 wins going into Green Bay here? Right here. Here's how you know. This is including the postseason. In the regular season, let me just get his regular seasons here. Dakota Prescott, he's 77 and 47. And yeah, he does play Green Bay next week. And here, Micah Parsons, just so you can see, his name's also 77. Micah. Oh, I said Allen earlier. It's Micah Aaron Parsons. My bad. What a trade to go to the 77 team by the numbers. Adding to this ritual, you guys. Memorial Day, right? Remember, Charlie Kirk said George Floyd was a loser who died from a fentanyl overdose, not the cop on his neck, right? Charlie Kirk, like the police state, he said we need more prisons, more people in prison. All the things Jesus would advocate for, right? Remember, George Floyd died on the corner of 38th in Chicago, and he died 34 days after Prince's death anniversary, which was in Minnesota as well. You see how fentanyl's got the 97, 34, 38? So does Prince. Again, 38th in Chicago, 34 days after Prince's death anniversary was George Floyd. Murder's also 34, like Charlie Kirk just died 34 days before his birthday. So we're told. And one of the last things he talked about was the Ukraine woman, where he said, look at that black guy. He should be in prison. Build more prisons. But yeah, George Floyd got killed on Memorial Day, right? Which came out of the American Civil War. And we'll touch more on that in a second. From Memorial Day this year to the Charlie Kirk shooting was 107 days later. And here we are in State Farm Stadium for the memorial, where State Farm comes out of Bloomington, Illinois. Charles James Kirk, 107. Again, Charlie Sheen was on Joe Rogan, little puppet Joe Rogan, another guy who's here to indoctrinate everybody and make everybody all the dumber. Again, Joe Rogan on the Jesuit Order's birthday just had to say that, numerology in the conspiracy realm is like, at the bottom, and, what gets you off course takes you off the mark. Yeah. Speaking exact opposites, what all the people in the cabal do. No, it's actually at the top. That's why they etch on the Masonic temple, all is number, the Pythagoras quote. They don't etch all is astrology. They don't etch all is symbolism. And it's not to say these things don't matter, but what they etch is all is number. And what's Masonry based in? Kabbalah, where this whole thing of letters and numbers and dates comes from. But yeah, again, he was talking to Charlie Sheen. And remember, they were talking about Platoon before the Charlie Kirk news broke. Platoon's about Vietnam. Vietnam was the American Civil War. And, maybe here's another piece about that too. Vietnam equals 84, right? So does Arizona. So does United States of America. So does Masonry. Remember, they announced on August 4th they're going to put up the Albert Pike statue in October, but they didn't say the date. Jesuits 84, the Jesuit Orders 84, Superior Generals 84. The whole thing synced with him, the leader of the Jesuits. The university that Kirk was shot at was established in 1941, which was 84 years ago. So, they were talking platoon about Vietnam, which was a civil war that the U.S. got involved in. You follow what I'm saying? And then they jumped into Kirk's assassination and then JFK's. And after JFK was killed, that's when we went into Vietnam. And then again, one more time, King Charles was in the news for meeting with his son for the first time in 19 months when it was 19-date numerology. And Charlie Kirk founded Turning Point USA. So the story goes, in his 19th year of life back in 2012, just before the shooting in Newtown, Connecticut, which was synced with Turning Point USA, as we've covered a bunch of times. Again, from Turning Point USA's establishment to the December 14th shooting in Newtown was 192 days. Charlie Kirk 192, like assault weapons, and that began a push to ban assault weapons, which is also 84. And for the record, so is Abraham Lincoln. So since today's Abraham Lincoln's also 60, like he was elected in 1860, and this is the 60th election, and Kennedy was 1960, and again, Kirk to Trump 60 weeks apart, and now today's memorial 60 days before Kirk's wife's birthday, and other things I'm forgetting right now that we've already covered. But anyway, isn't it amazing just how all this goes together? Yeah, I forgot to say King Charles. Those who fought for King Charles, the older one, those who fought for King Charles in history were called Cavaliers, and that was in the English Civil War. And King Charles, that one was the son of King James, who has the Bible named after him, and that's why LeBron King James plays on the Cavaliers, because again, King James' son was King Charles. How all these things go together, and how we're watching this story unfold. King James died at 58. Trump had his convention in King James's Stadium just for the 58th election. After Mr. Purple Rain died, Prince, Purple Rain 58. And remember, Vanity died the day of the 58th Grammys earlier in that year, which is the anniversary of Prince's mother's death, and all the 58 stuff. Coming out to Queen, We Are the Champions, synced up with the Queen of England, another 58, like London, England's 58. When modern Freemasonry's out of London, England, and of course, Freemasonry's 58, like Rosicrucian, that's what King James was, a Freemason and a Rosicrucian, like secret society, like Trump's tower in New York that Charlie Kirk's father helped build was 58 stories tall. And then Charlie Kirk was starting to get curious about the Epstein files, another 58, going with Jeffrey Epstein dying 58 days after Trump's birthday during Tisha B'Av to remember the destruction of Solomon's temple. The body's the temple. These people are destroying everybody's minds and bodies with their policies, their politics, their bullshit, their lies, their operations, their psyops. A lot of people destroyed their wallet today donating to Charlie Kirk. They might regret it when the bills come due, especially when they find out that they got hoaxed. Anyway, notice from Memorial Day to the memorial is a span of 119 days. Isn't this cute? Civil War equals 119. They literally began the memorial by talking about the Civil War. We're in the time of the 119th Congress with the chump, who was declared president the first time around on November 9th, the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, which divided Germany. People were divided over politics and religion, political ideology. Again, we didn't get here overnight, you guys. This whole 21st century started with a major lie in New York on September 11th. And by the way, this year, 11,000 calls to the FBI as they announced the arrest of Tyler Robinson on September 11th. After 33 hours, when 33 years before 9/11 happened, 911 was made the national emergency dialing code and World Trade Center construction began. Think about it. The 11th of September can also be written 11/9, the Civil War stuff. Some people think that Tyler Robinson looks a little bit like Lee Harvey Oswald. But notice, Civil War, 97, right? Charlie Kirk was killed 97. Well, I keep saying killed, but let's put an asterisk next to it every time. Again, there's no evidence. 97 days after the anniversary of the establishment of Turning Point, which is June 5th, Ronald Reagan's death anniversary. Ronald Reagan equals 56, like Washington, D.C., like Freemasons, like Society of Jesus. The date can be written 5/6. Turning Point's establishment date can be written 5/6, 97 days after that day. This Civil War ritual. Orem, Utah equals 43, like assassin, like killing, like football, because now they got it synced up with the football stadium too in the season. But yeah, all of these values. And don't forget, they made Charlie Kirk's wife the CEO 1 week after the assassination, which was exactly 43 weeks after her birthday. And don't forget, you had that Colorado shooting near Regis, where she went to the Jesuit University right after the Charlie Kirk one. And hold on, remember the Evergreen School? What was the kid's name again? Desmond Hawley. Desmond Hawley. Here's some familiar numbers. 56. Yeah, this one happens a lot. Big time number. When they locked down the country over the lies of Cooties 19, everything was 56, including Trump declaring the state of emergency on Friday the 13th, 2020, a date with 56 numerology, 56 years after his Jesuit education began. Again, he's part of this Freemasons club. He's part of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits. But he did make it clear today that Jesus isn't his Lord and Savior, because when he talked about that, he referred to it as that being Charlie's. He didn't say it was mine too. That's my Lord and Savior. No, he runs on MAGA, the highest degree of the Church of Satan. But yeah, I mean, just look how perfect all this is. And then just, Charlie Kirk had his disparaging remarks about George Floyd. George Floyd was killed on Memorial Day. Again, George Floyd and Charlie Kirk have the same birthday. And let's see if they put up the Albert Pike statue on that day. It will just be the biggest mocking if they do. The Confederate Masonic statue going back up in D.C., the Masonic Jesuit city. And again, Albert Pike, who wrote his letter about 3 world wars to come, on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th, 1871, the date. And don't forget, Netanyahu came back on Albert Pike's birthday anniversary, December 29th, when that Third World War he wrote about was centered on political Zionism, and Charlie Kirk was a big advocate for that until he cooled off a little bit here in the closing days, which opened the door for all these conspiracy theories that Israel did it. Listen, if Israel did it, all that means is the Jesuits did it, because the Jesuits run Israel. Point blank, period. Just like they run this nation. Again, the Jesuits are the daddies to modern Freemasonry. They're the boss. I just had to look into Civil War history on October 14th. The most notable thing on that day was the Battle of Briscoe Station in Virginia, not far from the nation's capital. I noticed that Bristow Station has a double overlap with Charlie Kirk, including that Key 60. I thought that was weird. I thought, it's interesting. Might need to do a little bit deeper research on that. Again, the man who opened the ceremony today, his pastor, he runs the Godspeak Cavalry Chapel, 88. Like Turning Point USA, like the Republican Party, like Trump 88, like Charlie Kirk's wife born in 88. Again, like what we covered as the news broke about Charlie Kirk dying on the kill date, which, again, we circled at the beginning of the year. We circle all the kill dates for the year every year at the start of the year. Next month, it's October 9th, and it's going to be November 8th and December 7th. That's the way the date numerology works out this year. But yeah, Trump, who was just cool. Listen, man, they're building my ballroom back there. Nothing could bother me. Charlie's replaceable. I can't believe that anyone likes to listen to Trump talk. He just like rambles on. Looking at this ugly orange overgrown Oompa Loompa, big fat slob, probably got greasy McDonald's burgers in his back pocket, this big fat ass. I can't stand this guy. Why does anyone like this guy? What is wrong with people? You got to be under some kind of satanic spell to listen to this guy talk for more than 5 seconds. He was the master builder. You guys need to learn what the Masonic handshake looks like, because Trump does it everywhere he goes. You see that right there? That's what it looks like. You and I don't shake hands like this. You and I do not shake hands like this. This is how Masons shake. This whole thing is a Masonic ritual. Look, Masonic ritual. 88, 56. Do you remember you see this too? This whole thing was one of those too. This whole thing that Trump went along with and printed all the money and couldn't even go to church, couldn't go to work, school, And remember what day he declared the father of the jab on 15/5 Mercuralia? You remember that? See how it's also 70? Look at Mercuralia. 70. Yeah. Trump did this same handshake when he met with Putin just the other day. Same one. Another big ritual on the world stage. Costing us a lot of money. A lot of taxpayer money. All these rituals. We end up paying the bills for them. Some of us get divided over them, you know. Get sucked into the psychological operations. We're taking sides on things we shouldn't be in. What side would everybody be on if the truth came out? And that's why these people make sure the truth never comes out. That's why they created these secret societies, to keep the truth just buried forever. Secret societies on top, keeping big secrets. You know, as long as they keep the secrets, everybody fights over the bullshit. Charlie Kirk got shot with a 30-06. Well, then how come his head didn't blow up? That's what would happen if he got shot with a 30-06. Did you guys know that if you line up 5 men and you shoot a 30-06 through the chest of the man in the front, it'll go through all 5 people? Did you know that? That's how powerful that gun is. And the FBI, this is also why they do this and lie to you in this way, because they know nobody knows anything. They like to tell you these huge whopper of lies because it's like they get away with it. Oh, they believe that he got shot with a 30-06 in the video. We left it out there for half the day. If he got shot with a 30-06, his neck would have disappeared. His head would have came off his shoulders. Yeah, look up how powerful a 30-06 is. You might be able to line up 10 people, and it might go through all 10 people. It would definitely go through 5 people. Oh, yeah, don't forget the Mormon shooter either. Don't forget that one. Don't forget, 63 days from the Superior General's birthday, on Charlie's birthday, his Bears beat the city where JFK died in 63 with 31. By the way, did you guys see the speaker? Did you guys see, maybe I already mentioned it, the speaker after the pastor, the teacher that had him for online class? Did you hear how many classes he said he had with Charlie? He goes, I had 31 classes with Charlie. Just like, God. The other thing I noticed is all these people that supposedly knew him his whole life had to look down at the script. I knew Charlie for 12 years, and we were best friends. Charlie was amazing. Charlie every day would read every single email sent to Turning Point, and he would respond to most of them every day, really. Like, yeah, I'm sure. This huge organization that probably gets, tens of thousands of emails a day. I mean, little old me gets too many emails a day where I don't have enough time to go through all my emails. God, it's just, these people just love shoving bullshit down your throat. Did any of these people even know Charlie Kirk? If you knew, how come you can't just go up to the podium and say something? If I knew Charlie Kirk, I'd just go up there and speak freely. You know, he was a great friend, always made me laugh. I wouldn't have to be like, I knew Charlie since April 17th. I mean, just stop. Stop this whole puppet show. Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Arlington Heights, where Charlie's from, where they're going to build the Bears' new stadium. Thank God the Bears won with 31 today. I just can't get over it. The mockery. Remember, the only 2 teams that are 106 years old this year are the Bears and the Cardinals, because they're both from Chicago, where the NFL was founded. The National Fixed League. Yeah. Oh, I got called for dinner. For all my haters, you're lucky. But yeah, just to remind you guys, 97 days after Turning Point's founding date, Charlie's dead. Biggest Civil War number. Yeah. 60 weeks and 4 days after Trump got his ear nicked. Then he wore the big bandage, which gave it a complete 100% reheal. Everybody was fine except for the Buffalo firefighter. Don't forget that shooting at the school in Colorado right after Charlie. It used to be called the Buffalo School, and it was right before McKinley's death anniversary in Buffalo. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this happened 34 weeks after Ben Shapiro's birthday. He wasn't too happy with Charlie at the moment. Pretty sure that was all part of the psychological operation, because that's what I'm talking about. It was clearly Israel. Ben Shapiro. Are we sure Ben wasn't up on the roof? The Tyler's not filling in for Ben. Don't you gotta love how Ben Shapiro's initials are BS? Nasally BS. That's all that comes out of the guy's mouth. By the way, all the 58s with Turning Point USA, I forgot that the acronym TPUSA is a 58 as well. Again, 58-story Trump Tower. That's the one Charlie Kirk's father helped build. Trump wants 58 more million for more government security. 58 Democrats voted no to honor Charlie's life and legacy. Well, what's his life and legacy really look like? I mean, why didn't any Democrats vote for him? He just said what? They said they should have federally executed Biden. Those are his words, right? I couldn't stand Biden either, but I mean, good God. Is he worse than Trump? They're all horrible. They're all horrible. Yeah, we done a lot on Charlie. The best video was the first one that got taken down for hate speech, when really I was just a nice guy in that. There wasn't any hate speech at all. But as the days have gone on and the bullshit's gotten worse and worse, I've gotten more fed up. And yeah, things need to be called out. And for anyone to say, don't speak ill of the dead, show me any proof he's dead. That's what I would say. And I did get taken down for hate speech, and YouTube's explanation of hate speech was questioning a well-documented story. So that's where we are in this Orwellian age, questioning a well-documented story. What's well-documented in the news? First of all, nothing. We're also in the age of AI, and you're telling me a 30-06 hit him, but it was just a little hole in his neck? And then you got Candace Owens saying that she saw the video from the camera right behind his head, and there wasn't one drop of blood? I think everyone should be questioning everything. Did I get through everything I needed to? I need to go eat dinner. I'm going to get yelled at here, but let me see. Did I get through all of it? Yeah, just if you look in the Battle of Pikachu Pass, again, just in light of the first guy being the Cavalry Church, the Cavalry Chapel, again, the war I mean, cavalry was common back then, right? Cavalry's military on horses. But it was a battle between cavalry in Arizona, 3 years to the day of Lincoln's assassination. And then this battle that the Confederates won on October 14th, George Floyd's birthday anniversary. Remember what happened after George Floyd? The Pike statue came down, and then January 6th was all synced up, and the Confederate flag flew through the Capitol, supposedly in support of Trump. So we see that Trump's the new General Lee. Lee's another 22 word, the master builder, as Trump would tell you. But yeah, this stuff, you guys, it's just all theater. It's all ritual. It's the secret societies laughing at you. These guys doing the hidden hand in front of your face, Masonic handshake, just talking about brick by brick. I mean, Candace Owens said she was the one of the original Masons of Turning Point. I'm like, does she got wood in her pants? Is Candace a Turner too? Because you got to be a dude. Is Candace a dude? What did she mean by that? She's one of the original Masons of Turning Point? If she's one, they did a good job with her. They got me fooled. Anyway, shout out to Dale with the big 2. Thank you again, Dale. Thank you to Caleb with the big 2. My audio is bad. I hope that was a long time ago. It should be good. It looks good on my end. Logan Thomas, Kirk's favorite sports team is Oregon Ducks, who just played in Civil War. Yeah, and also, speaking of Oregon Ducks, you have Bo Nix versus Justin Herbert today. 2 Duck quarterbacks battling out in the AFC West. John Mendoza with the big 2. Let's see. Yeah, you had 2. Yeah, all right, Charlie Kirk got it done. Charlie Kirk. I call him Charlie Kirk. Justin Herbert got it done. He became 6-4 versus the Denver Broncos. He better have. Denver Broncos 64. 43 points in the game. Chargers 43. Colorado 43. Football 43. But yeah, that's right. His wife referenced that he was a big Cubs fan and a big Oregon Ducks fan. So go figure that there's only 2. Actually, Mariota played today too, didn't he? They had Mariota actually in there for the nation's capital, and he won. Should have thought about that because, yeah, Mariota played at Oregon also. Mariota wore 18 last year for the Commanders. Changed his number this year, but it was a Super Bowl 18 rematch today. Got to be something with that. By the way, the Bears beating Dallas 31-14. That's 45 points, right? The Bears, 45. So, yeah, learn your numbers. You'll laugh at these scores all day. It's Groundhog's Day every week when you know the numbers. I am shocked about the Browns beating the Packers today a little bit. Stefanski did have the narrative for the 41st win. That was the one thing he had going on. I'm a little bit surprised though that the Packers. Colts did it again. 41 points again for Jim Irsay, who died 106 days before the 106th season began. We thought they'd score 41 in game one. I had Jonathan Taylor for 3 touchdowns today to get to 54 for his career. That paid 25-1. Congrats to the winners. Today was we dominated week 1 and week 2. Today it left a lot to be desired, but still, you play smart with this knowledge. Even on a not so great day, you can win. Like you could have hit on 25-1 for Jonathan Taylor for 3 touchdowns to get to 54. Cash. And we said at the beginning of the year, the Colts either start 3-0 or 0-3. Today, the coach, Steichen, got his 20th win, beating the Titans. Vikings, Browning, the new guy who's Browning's a gun. He fell to 4-4 for his career. The shooting number, Vikings 44, like shooting, like it's up on the 44th parallel, like Derek Chauvin, 44 years old on George Floyd's neck. It was fentanyl. Didn't you hear what Charlie Kirk said? Steelers-Patriots game could have gone either way. Mike Vrabel got his 50th loss. Pittsburgh 50. He could have also got his 58th win today. They made that a little bit iffy. And I'll be right there. New England Patriots is 98. New England alone's 99. Rodgers stayed on 98 losses. Could have got his 99. Some of these games are tricky the way they got it. We love the Eagles to win today. I told you at the beginning of the year for free. I said Sirianni can get his 49th win over Dallas. He did. He can get his 50th win over the Chiefs. He did. And he could get his 51st win over the Rams. And he did. And by the way, if you include his postseason wins, he also has his 57th win, including the postseason. So we got 51 in the regular season, 57 with the postseason today over the Rams. What a script. And by the way, they got their 26th win over the Rams all time today. And the Rams went down with 26. By the way, Stafford got his 65th road loss today. Philadelphia 101. It's the day leaving 101 days left in the year. 101, the 26th prime. The Church of Philadelphia in Revelation gets to learn about the synagogue of Satan. Charlie Kirk with the lightning bolts makes you wonder. We thought the Jets would at least cover today. They had a chance to upset, but it's 3-date numerology week 3. Bucks came 3-0. Jets 0-3. Jets did cover. Commanders disappointed me too. This was the Charlie Kirk thing. I blew it. He's a Ducks fan. The Ducks quarterback won. I overlooked that. They did some funny things. You know what? I had to go back and look. I've had some bad week 3s in recent years. They do special stuff in week 3. They do things outside of the ordinary. The Duck quarterback was no doubt the riddle here in the nation's capital. And all the numbers, normal numbers, said Raiders should have won this game. Panthers-Falcons was the most shocking game today. I'm going to have to think about what the hell they did there. That shocked me. I love the Seahawks beating the Saints with 44. What a joke. Seattle 44. You see how Seattle's 19-44, so is Saints? Remember last year when the Saints beat the Cowboys 44-19 and Dak fell to 44-19 at home? We were all over that. Dak falling to 44-19 at home. Kellen Moore from Washington State. He didn't get his first NFL win today. He got his ass kicked. And the Bears look good today. Good. The Niners got. I love when the Niners win with 16. Chalk it up to the gold. Joe Montana, number 16, Super Bowl 16, on the anniversary of the Gold Rush starting. Yeah, look it up. Facts. It's that big of a joke. Yeah. Anyway, I got to eat dinner. I'm going to get yelled at here for taking so long, but yeah, week 3 left something to be desired, but it's still all scripted. 49ers Cardinals ended in 31 points. Yeah, you're right. Good math on that. We favored the Niners. I told you guys last week that if Mac Jones won 3 straight, last year he played for the Jaguars. So if Mac Jones has now won 2 straight, he needs to win 1 more. Next week, he's playing the Jaguars 23 days after his birthday and get his 23rd career win versus the team he played for last year. How you like them apples? Bryce Young started the year getting his 23rd loss. I forget what they did in week 2 with the Jaguars. Today, though, the Texans coach missed out on his 23rd win over the Jags. So the 23 actually did come up short this week, but it doesn't normally. Right now, it's 2-1. Still winning. Anyway, we'll leave it there. If you won today, congrats to you. You must have done something with something like Jonathan Taylor, 3 touchdowns. But, yeah, a lot of things today were a bit surprising. So turns out maybe everything they did was about Charlie Kirk, and I missed some of the narratives because that's what it is. Scripted sports, scripted news, scripted politics, all scripted together. Literally been here for over a decade educating about these things, and we'd be having a real turning point if, we had 500,000 people tuned in right now to this broadcast and we're donating money like they did to this thing that's just going to support the GOP, which helps continue to build the police surveillance state, and instigate more wars and blame brown people for things they didn't do. But anyway, that's what it is to be part of the Illuminati and the machine. and to be the guy on the outside trying to fight it, fight against a corrupt government and a nation of people who are under literally like satanic mind control. It is quite challenging. So, but we'll keep fighting anyway. Congrats to the winners. Thank you to everyone who supports the work. And until next time, Truth Seeker.